Resilient people have better sex.
That's going in. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Resilience Revolution. It's part of Rise and Thrive Conversations for Greatness. This season's all about resilience. I'm John Merkus, and I'm here with Matt Cordner. Now, I'm a resilience change management. I don't know if you call me an expert, but I call myself an expert. I've been in this arena for decades in the corporate space, helping people manage change. I've seen where resilience is really needed, and Matt and I go deep into the principles about resilience. And also, we have an amazing course. And we were just talking off air before. It's not just a couple of things that two good-looking roosters have thought about and said, let's do this. This is all backed by science and research. And whenever I say science and research, I always think of Matt. G'day, Matt. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, John. Thank you. Look, to introduce myself, my life has been cruelly and unusually divided into two halves. The first half of my life, I spent advising politicians. Unfortunately, the second half of my life was a bit more entertaining in being a university lecturer for a number of universities. So I'm interested in statistics. I'm interested in getting things right, and I'm interested in helping people learn.
Perfect space to be in. And you're also a humble man because you could rattle off so many degrees that you have and how much research that you've been involved in through the years. So just know, ladies and gentlemen, and however else you identify, that Matt knows his stuff. And for those that have heard the previous episodes, you'll know that we start with Kickstart Your Week. So, Matt, over to you.
I love it, John. Now, for those who are new, Kickstart the Week is just a way in which we talk about how resilience has infected is a great word, actually, or has affected our individual lives. And I got a quick one today. Look, both of my children are umpires for a couple of different leagues. And the umpires are, I don't know if you're familiar with a game we have here in Australia called Aussie Rules Football. But being an umpire in any sport is difficult. But being an umpire in AFL is particularly difficult because the rules are so interpretive, and that makes it really difficult. Plus, we have a number of passionate people who play this game normally for sheep stations, John. And my son had an interesting match last week when he was confronted by a player at one end of the ground, and the other umpire, because there's always at least two, was confronted by another player at the other end, getting right up in their face and yelling and disputing their decisions. And it all happened at once. And it just it resulted in a tribunal, and I won't bore you with the circumstances, but it just reminded me of how important it is to practice your resilience, to have it ready for when you need it and you least expect it. Because, in the course of your work or your play, resilience or the requirement to be resilient might pop up at any time. And so I think my kickstart the week is do the work now, be prepared and get ready, because you never know when you're going to be confronted while you're umpiring.
Nice one. What's been at the forefront of my mind this week is that happiness is not the goal, it's the journey, it's the pathway. And I've really noticed that with myself because I found that there was a couple of moments during the week where I might not have been as happy or upbeat as I would have liked to be. And then the thing about having the awareness about that is I know those kind of feelings and that way of being is not going to take me where I want to go. Now, I don't want to invalidate those feelings. It's okay to have those feelings and acknowledge them and move on. But when I heard this saying that I have heard before, and you all might have heard it before as well, that happiness is not the goal, it's the pathway, that kind of mindset and emotion personally takes me where I want to go. And the other thing as well is if I'm not achieving everything I want to right now in this second in this moment, I can be happy anyway. I've got a choice. I got a choice. I could be down about things and go, I wish it was this way or this way, or I could be happy about, oh my God, my life's fantastic. I woke up this morning. The other expression that I heard this week, which I love, is you've already won the lottery. And so that means just the odds of you being born on this planet, and I know you've heard this before many, many times, just the The fact that we're on the planet means we've already won the lottery, because there's something like a 3 billion chance that sperm and that egg met and that became you at that time. I mean, who knows? Another glass of wine and you might not have been born by your parents.
We're dealing with the deep this morning. That's great.
We are dealing with the deep. So, my friends, that was Kickstart the Week. Again, for those that have heard us before in the previous episodes, you'll know after Kickstart Your Week segment 1, we go a straight when I find the thing. When we hear that music, we know we're at segment 2, Resilience Reboot, where we deep dive into a resilience principle. And I don't want to steal your thunder, Matt, because I want you to introduce this one, because it's, I don't know if you'd say it's the start of everything, but for me, it's the, I don't know, the thing that is the center of everything. I don't know. You can explain it so well. Over to you, Matt.
Thanks, John. So, our resilience reboot this week is all about the captain. And if you listened in last week, you would have known that we work with a sailboat metaphor that helps us deal with all of the ways in which we can scientifically help you to be more resilient. And this week, we're talking about the captain, and the captain of the boat is you. And if you're lucky enough to be in a position where you and your workplace are also the captain of a group of people, it's really important to remember that the first place to be the captain is the captain of yourself. And I wanted to run John by a statistic around this before we get going, and that is 18% of the Australian population were dispensed a mental health related prescription in 2022-23. And, we talk about, we deal with statistics here, and that statistic, I have to say, blows my mind to think that we're now in a position where, in fact, there are so many people who, it's good to say that are coming to grips with mental illness, but B, are needing a prescription to deal with these issues. So I think it's worth acknowledging that as a captain, and people that you're leading, your example and the way that you individually tailor the way that you treat everybody who works for you is really, really important. And just to be really aware that there are lots of people out there who are struggling and who rely on you to be a fantastic captain. So we're going to talk today about the 4 elements that make you a resilient and a fantastic leader and captain.
So that's 1 in 5 Australians. Now, I thought when you first said it, I thought it was health-related prescription. No, it's a mental health-related prescription. So I understand if people need that kind of support, but it also does show that people are out there needing a lot of help. And I love how you've said that to take that into account in your everyday life. So whether you're in the office, whether you're in business, whether you are out and about there in the general public, be aware that there's some people that are needing that kind of support, and have a bit of empathy. Now, the 4 elements to being your own captain, Matt. Now, let's go through those. Now, the first one is attention. So, and I also love this metaphor. It's really easy to understand. You're the captain, you're in a sailboat. Let's talk about those kind of elements. So, as the captain, which element of the sailboat do you pay the most attention to? That's attention, the first principle. Can you talk us through a bit more of that?
Yeah, and look, I think it's really important to be aware that the way in which we work is going to be different, and the way in which we naturally form our attention will be contingent upon a whole number of things in terms of what we prioritize, what we think are important in our lives, and certainly the pressures that are coming at us from various different directions, whether they be budgetary or whether they be pressure from shareholders or wherever that's coming from. That is often going to be where your attention goes. But I think it's really important to sit back from that a little bit and think about which one of these elements, when we talk about all the various different elements of our sailboat metaphor, which one of those elements are you going to be focusing on? Is it the compass? Is it the direction that the organisation is heading? Is it the destination, as you were just talking about? But at the end of the day, John, it's all about focus. And where you focus your attention, as we well know, is what's going to get fixed first. So it's really important to be encouraged to make sure that that focus is frequently attended to, and to make sure that it is the focus that is going to really make your team the best that it can be.
Nice. Energy flows where focus goes. I like that. I can easily remember that because it rhymes. And I have experienced that in my life. And I wonder if you have too. I suspect that you have. So, number one element of being your own captain, attention. Number two element is thoughts. So, your sailboat is most influenced by your thoughts. And you know, if you've listened to the show in season one as well, that we're often talking about what you do, but also what you think to create greatness in your life. There's a couple of great expressions that really help me. Life's what happens between your ears. Do you like that one, Matt?
I do like that. I do like that.
Let's unpack the thoughts element about being your own captain.
Yeah, so look, when we think about all of the 8 elements that we went through last time, and just to recap on that, we're talking there about water, compass, steering wheel, leaks, sails, weather, other boats and destinations. And one of the things about each one of those is that you can think about each one of those in a different way, and you can make choices about which ones that you prioritize and which you focus on. But as John just said, where you place your thoughts is also where you're going to place your focus. So those 8 elements about what's going on around you, it's really, really important to make sure that you don't over focus on one and ignore another, and of course vice versa. So to give you a really good example, weather relates to all of the things that are going on outside of your control, and we have lots of those in our workplace, don't we? And the thing about thinking too heavily about the things that we can't control is that to a large extent that is wasted time, even though it is the thing that makes you worry the most. And I think we have to call this out, John. Being mammals, we are conditioned to focusing on fear and danger. And whilst that is a good thing, obviously, and it was probably more helpful in more prehistoric times, these days it can really take your thoughts and your focus and take it down a direction that is probably not going to be helpful. So I would say that if you want to have a match to that, think about the leaks more than the weather, because the leaks are the things that you can control. So the leaks are the things that aren't going well in the way that you're leading as a captain. So just be aware of those thoughts need to be productive, because that's where your focus goes.
Thank you, Matt. And just this week in a keynote speech, I talked about that voice in your head and also how we do have a tendency to focus on the negative, and psychologists will call that negativity bias. And it's something that you just touched on then. It's an evolutionary thing. So that served us really well, and it's because the humans and the people that focused on danger and fear and the bad things that were going on around them had a tendency to live longer. So that's just one way of our brain trying to keep us safe. And I love it how you said the leaks in the boat, using the metaphor, are the things that you can control, because so many times we might go down a rabbit hole or have negative thoughts about so many things that we can't control. So let's focus on the things that we can control. The third element of being your own captain is motivation. So I love how our workbook says we all do things for reasons. This is what we call motivation. How simple. So many times you go, oh, I'm motivated to do it. What actually is motivation? Well, it's the reason you do things. I love it. So, in the context of our sailboat, it's about which element of your sailboat are you most motivated to use or address?
Yeah, and I really think this is important because to some extent, people become concerned about the ways in which their motivation or where their motivation comes from. And if we think about the 8 elements of the boat, for example, some people might like the steering wheel. A lot of people like the role of being the person who makes decisions around the direction that we go in. And obviously, that's a huge and necessary trait of being a great leader. But also, as a part of that, it's really important to take in the sales because the sales are the things that are going to capture the energy, and you can call that energy motivation, and use that wind to keep moving forward. And there's no point in having a steering wheel if you don't have sails, right? So, and I mean sales in terms of the things that are on the boat, and also sales are the things that you need to do if you're running an organization. So it's really important to derive and drive that motivation from the things that you get the most enjoyment from. I think having enjoyment in the workplace is really, really important. And allowing yourself to be someone who likes the steering wheel or likes to concentrate on the sales or is interested in other boats and what other competitors are doing and what other people around you in the organization are doing, but having that in context of making sure that you have a free flowing and constant element of motivation for yourself and your staff. You're not going to have staff who are motivated unless you're motivated yourself. And recognize what element of the boat motivates you and really hone in on it and use it as the way in which you're able to then transfer that motivation onto the people who follow you.
I love that walking the talk and leadership by example. Absolute gold. So that was the third element of being your own captain. Now, the fourth element is action. And as Shakespeare would say, action is eloquence. And in the sailboat, it's about which element of your sailboat would most benefit from you taking action.
Absolutely. And it's also about where your strengths lie. I think it's really important to be aware of what you're really good at and to be aware of what you're not. Because, and we've said this before, that you want to surround yourself with people who are good at what you're not, because the best people around you are the people who can advise you in different directions. And after all, if you're leading, then you make the ultimate decisions. But to have alternative views to choose from, and the more you have of those, the better it is. So taking action is something we really need to consider because, especially in hard economic times, your decisions and the decisions that you make become so much more intense because they can really affect an organization that may need to make sure that every move they make is the correct move. So, without putting too much pressure on yourself, what you're in fact doing is, rather than stalling and stopping yourself from making a decision, taking action based on all of the other elements that we've just discussed, on where your focus should be, on where your motivation is. It just makes taking action so much easier, and it doesn't put you in that place where nothing is happening and there's indecision. And before you know it, decisions are made for you because time runs out. And that's the situation you want to really avoid. So take action, take it with great focus, take it with all of the elements that the sailboat requires you to do, and then you become far more resilient.
Mate, this is absolutely gold because it's simple, it's relatable, and it's helpful. So I just love the structure of this Resilience X course that we are going through, and that works so well. So we've talked about last episode about the sailboat elements, right? The water, the compass, the steering wheel, the leak, the sails, the weather, the other boats, and the destinations. Those were the 8 things from last episode. And together with the captain's elements of attention, thoughts, motivation, and action, this makes up the sailboat metaphor, which we're going to go through even deeper in subsequent episodes. And I love the graphic in the workbook that puts it all together. So we'll make that available somehow, I think. Shall we?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's all right. Oh, good, good. Just want to make sure I'm not breaking any rules here, but let's make that available to our listeners. Well, the other thing as well is if you want it, let us know. Reach out to us. There's the ways to contact Matt and I in the show notes, or it's as simple as john@johnmerkus.com. Let us know if you want it. You can have it.
And we can accompany it.
And now we've top and tailed it with the beautiful piano music. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Resilience Reboot. Love it, Matt. So much gold in there. Segment 3 is, of course, toolbox time. What do we got this week, mate?
Look, toolbox time today. This is the segment where we really give you something practical, and we actually do give it to you. So, any of the toolbox times that you would like, any of the resources that we have available, please just connect with us, and we'll send those to you. We're going to talk in this toolbox time, John, about the hope map, the map of hope. And this comes from science. The science of hope is something that has happened initially around about 2013, 2014. There's been a few really great studies into this. Dolwet and Markus and Avery Lopez has been.
Excuse me, mate. I've got to ask. Dolwet. Is that the surname?
It is Dollwet.
Okay, I've never heard that surname before. So that's the surname of one of the people
One of the
doing the
researchers
research?
into, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
So these are a gentleman did a number of studies and they are gentlemen, did a number of studies in 2014 and 2013 around hope and where it comes from, what creates it, and how to bottle it up and reserve it for when you need it most. And one of the ways that they came up with was something they call the hope map. And the Hope Map is a visual tool which we're happy to provide you with. But effectively, what it does is 4 stages of filling it out. And it's really good for both in your personal life and also at work. The first stage is to set a goal and make sure that it's a realistic goal and a goal that you can get down on paper. And the second is to determine a pathway. What is the pathway that you're going to use to get to that goal? And the simple act of doing that is going to make a huge difference. The third aspect of that is to identify an obstacle. What are the things that are going to get in the way of that pathway? And some of those that you can call out straight away, and some of those will eventuate as you move towards the pathway of that goal. And the fourth aspect of the hope map is really important because we've just talked about it, and that is how you're going to maintain motivation for that goal. Because when we think about all of the particularly New Year's resolutions that we've abandoned and the goals that we've set and we've abandoned or we've tweaked and reset, we do sometimes struggle with maintaining motivation. Now, I would say to you that the more important the goal or the more thoughtful the goal, the more likely you are to have motivation to increase it. One of the tips I can give you for the toolbox is that when you write down or when you tell someone that you have a goal, that solidifies that goal both within your mind and also with that other person who will ask you about that goal. And also you have that map on the wall or on your computer where you can see yourself moving to that goal. And if one of those obstacles is lack of time, then you can work as you go through it to make more time. If one of it is it's just too hard, then you can retweak that goal to make sure that it's spread out in areas that help you achieve at a slower pace. So the Hope Map, John, I fully recommend it, and we can make it available to anybody who would like an example of it.
And backed by science, which I'm a big fan of. It's interesting with that maintaining motivation because when I signed up last year for my podcasting course to learn all about it, one of the first things that we went through is what are you going to do? What are you going to say? And what are the actions you can take if things start to get tough? and you start to lose motivation. So it's easy to have the motivation at the start and like, yeah. And so that is also a good time at the start of when you're writing a goal, when you are pumped up about it, to then have a think about what are you going to do when you maybe not so pumped up about it, and who you're going to reach out to, what are you going to think. And I also like your principle of display there as well. So not only do you write things down, you also display them so you can see them, and then you talk them into existence with yourself and others. All wonderful ways of working. Let's say you'll know it yourself, because if you ever witnessed a fundraising drive and they put that little thermometer there and they put how they're reaching their goals or not with what they want to achieve. So it's visible there to see where you're at and to see where you want to go, because it does make a difference. So, oh yeah, well, that was toolbox time with the hope map. Can be yours. Just reach out and you can have it.
Excellent. And one of the things, John, to say about the hope map is that it works in it works in rotation in a very strange way, because part of what Dolwett and Avery discovered is that having high hopes in the workplace makes you um, uh, achieve outcomes more successfully. So, in actual fact, whilst you need motivation to set a goal, you the fact of setting a goal, or the act of setting a goal, keeps you motivated. So it's sort of circular in that way, which is what's beautiful about the map.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, segment 4, we don't have a stinger or music for us because we make it ourselves, because this is a mindful minute.
It's a minute of mindfulness.
Yeah, touch of Jack Black there.
Not anymore.
I know. He's got a bit
Let's
on
not
the
go
nose,
there.
but let's hope, I should say, that a moment in time doesn't taint his massive body of creative work.
Indeed.
That's right. You were going to imagine, I've just come back from a holiday in Vietnam, so I had plenty of sun, and I think you're going to have me do something in my mind about that. So the mindful minute today, what's all that about, my friend?
So, in the past, we've done mindful minutes as something that you can do in your own time. I want to do a mindful minute today. It'll probably take about a minute and a half. Something we can all do together right now. So, what I want you to do, John, and what I'd like the listeners to do, and can I just put out a warning? Please don't do this if you're listening to us while you're driving. But if you are listening to this at home, in a nice comfortable chair, then please join with us. So, John, what I'd like you to do is just close your eyes, and I want you to think about a place in which you're standing where you can see the sun. Now, what I want you to do is to think very clearly about being able to see the sun and all its brightness. And I want you to tell yourself that whilst looking at the sun is normally not advisable, on this occasion you're able to look right into the sun and see it in all its beautiful brightness. So I want you just imagine that you're doing that. And as you do, think about the warmth that comes directly from the sun, and think about it entering your body as it does, and you can feel it on your face and you can feel it all around you. And what I'd like you to do is imagine yourself drawing in that energy, because after all, the sun is a big ball of energy, drawing in all of that energy into the center of your chest. So bring it in, imagine that sun, all of that energy coming right into your chest. And as it comes into the center of your being, I want you to just simply imagine that that energy is filling the rest of your body. So I want you to feel it going into the pit of your stomach. I want you to feel it as it goes down into your legs, down into your feet, and then maybe it's coming back up into your arms, going out to your hands, right to the edges of your fingertips, drawing in that beautiful red, orange, rich energy that the sun gives us. And then I want you to imagine it going up through to your head, your nose, your eyes, your ears, and eventually then resurfacing back out through the top of your head. And as you do that, think about all of that energy that you have access to, that you now have energized your body, and you've given your body an energy source that is completely controlled by you. And as you just think through that and start to feel more relaxed, more energized, and ready to face the rest of the day or the night, and you're ready to go with a whole new source of energy that enables you to be resilient, to be motivated, and to be the captain of the boat that you need to be. How'd that go, John?
That was wonderful, mate. Now I'm so relaxed but energized at the same time.
Excellent. So that is part of a wider or a longer meditation that focuses on the sun, that allows you to just concentrate on the energy that you can reduce and produce within yourself. And I think it's really important to have a number of things that do only take a minute or so to allow yourself to stop, refocus, re-energize, and go again.
It's great to have that in the kit bag. Thank you. Also, that was Mindful Minute.
A minute of mindfulness.
Yeah. So now we have motivational quote time. And I like the one you've picked for this week. We take it in turns, or we work out which one is going to be the best for you, the audience, in listening to the show. So it's over to you with your motivational quote for this week, Matt.
Yeah, this week it does relate to the mindful minute we've just had. Motivational quote this week is: resilience is about how you recharge, not about how you endure. How you recharge, not how you endure. Really important, because when we talk about words, they can often mean different things to different people, and often resilience is aligned with a tragedy or a time in which your life has been difficult. And I just want to reset that thinking with this quote a little bit by saying to you that resilience is not a negative thing, or it's not something that is required when things go bad. And it's not just about enduring, and life should not be about enduring. It should be about recharging, which is what we just did for a minute there, and hopefully it worked for you. But I really think it's important that we all think about resilience as the place in which we get our energy to go on and move forward, not where we just survive.
It's really important that you've defined that, because people think of resilience as a negative thing, or something that you have to do to maybe hang on in bad weather or something, or you're that tree that's trying to hang on in the wind even though it's almost pulling up your roots. And as you just explained, it's not like that at all.
No.
So that was, I think we need to change that music for the motivational quote. I don't know if it fits, but
I don't know. It gives an authority. It's a bit regal.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, in that case, we'll keep it there. I don't have a joke. I did hear of a dad joke yesterday, but it's not really at the level we usually go. It was how do you make a tissue dance?
How?
Add a little bit of boogie. That's all I've got. Have you got something else? That was straight off the top.
No, I can't. I wouldn't even try and go as low as that.
Oh, well, I'm supposed to go. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening today. Thanks for being on the show. And Matt, just thank you for being you.
Thanks, John. And look, likewise.
So this is part of a 6-week, 6 by 90-minute sessions that you can do. It's the Resilience X course. We're taking you through it through the episodes here, but the best value, this is to give you a bit of a taste, is the best value is when Matt and I come and take you through this course so you can get all the benefits and experience it. And we'll guide you through that. Matt, it's great when it's done in person or virtually in those 6 sessions, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And John, we've delivered this course, our Resilience X course, to a number of large and small organisations and to individuals as well. So it's something that we really love doing. We get a lot of enjoyment out of helping people be great leaders, be resilient leaders, and be the best that they can be. And we can do that in person. We can do that online. We just love doing it, and we do it from a scientific backing, and we do it with some of the best people. And we like to say it's a course that's been developed by psychologists and delivered by people who are experts in their field, such as board members and lecturers and people who have the sort of expertise that you have, John, in business and change management as well. So it really is the best of all sorts of different worlds that you can get to make you and the people that you lead and your organisation a team of resilient people who can really have success.
Thank you, Matt. I love it for so many reasons, all the reasons you just explained. It makes such a difference in people's business life, and I get excited when it can also transfer to your personal life as well. So it's really for 100% of your life, this course. We do it in a corporate business environment.
And we get dressed up, we'll suit and tie up too.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've just got a 3-piece suit from Vietnam, so I've got to wear it somewhere. Yep, so I just love that transition, how it can be relevant to your business life and your personal life. Matt, the only thing left to say is thanks, Matt, for being you.
Oh, well, John, I'm sorry. There's no one else I can be.
And remember, resilient people
have better sex.
That's going in. And remember, resilient people
are the true captains of their ship.
I like it. That's better than have good sex, except both could be applicable.
I'm better in the bedroom.
By far.
A longer and stronger.
Well, that goes with the 4 elements we've been talking about: attention, thoughts, motivation, and action.
Focus.
It's the perfect.
Absolutely.
It's the perfect way to implement what we've spoken about on today's episode.
Oh dear. Resilient people have better sex.
That's going in.